All right, we are gathered here today to do the opposite of catastrophizing and imagine a world where everything goes right. Everything. And, you know, maybe that does involve a couple hiccups. Maybe you still stub your toe. You know, we're not saying that this everything going right is on a small scale. It's on a big scale. It's the big dreams, all of the dreams becoming reality. So I might need your help with some topics, but let's do some exploring. Well, we could start with food. There's a lot of good scenarios that could happen. We could all develop a resistance to pesticides that do exist and stop getting cancer. Nobody gets cancer anymore. Everyone can just eat non-organic food that exists, and it's okay. And all the plants and all the animals, they're okay too. And all the fish with pesticides, they're totally fine. They go on with life. It doesn't affect them. Still thriving hard, and thriving good. And then, of course, we find a new solution. We figure out how to make a blueberry bigger without making it less nutrient dense, but also the right size that you feel happy about, because you need it to be juicy enough in order for it to be a super nice, delicious blueberry. And all of the cows and cattle, the chicken and the pigs, you know, the meat industry is perfectly set up and aligned with all of the ecosystematic order in this beautiful future. We have found a way to take care of all of the poop of the cows and mix it perfectly with the organic materials that, when we compost, we all have such an easy way. You know, people just need to be offered the answers, right? So we've got compost bins right now, but imagine the future where whenever you need to compost something, you just drop it on the floor. I'm done with this. It's on the floor. Floor eats it because hyper-intelligent floor species have now come to manage the ground for us because we used AI. And AI found a way to genetically engineer the floor in order to take care of all of our trash, process it correctly, and bring the recycling elements to places where they can be used again to create the next thing that we want. All of the plastic in the ocean has been found by the AI tiny microorganisms and reallocated to create wonderful toys and fun, exciting things to learn and play with. Not to mention, all of the toys are so highly exciting and educational. We have discovered a way for our children to synthesize all of their neural connectivity to the point of genius creativity from age nothing to 100 years old. And our neural plasticity is so honed in by our diets that have been curated by our AI floor intelligent species. I'm pretty sure the whole basis of our great diverse growth as a species has now been curated by genius answers. And I mean, it's not so much that the AI is separate from us. It's more like we're in the reality of that movie Avatar, where you can just plug your tail into a horse, you know? You're like, I am the horse. The horse is me. I sense the joyful expression of the horse, and we are mutually beneficial to one another. Now, I do realize that this opposite of catastrophizing always has another end. When you do well on one species, that doesn't always mean you do well on other species. So this scenario that I'm painting is mostly for humans and animals and, you know, general biodiversity. Definitely biodiversity. Perhaps all of the animals get to express themselves in just the right ways, or maybe we've solved a system where we can have an alternate reality where the lions get to take over the world, and one where the elephants get to, or the COVID-19 virus gets to take over. That's their opposite of catastrophizing, I suppose. So a reality where everyone wins. Yeah, tricky. So back to food. You know, we've got this system. We drop our trash on the floor, and our AI hyper-intelligent floor says, well, would you like this back, or could I turn it into the next food or the next useful tool of imagination? Thank you, AI floor. Thank you so much. So, in terms of the government, we found a wonderful way to synthesize and honor traditionalism in culture, as well as new discoveries that should be incorporated. And essentially, there are a lot of HR. There's a lot. There's more than enough HR. There's never not enough HR, because you need a lot of HR to really get through these layers of communication. And after a good amount of time, every single person in the world has effective communication skills, conscious autonomy over self and emotions, and is able to problem solve without emotional ego reaction. It doesn't mean we're emotionless creatures. We still find beautiful creative outlets to experience the depths of light and dark and color. However, we just know how to communicate because we've tackled all of the educational systems around the world. You know, there's no such thing as inequality, but there is such a thing as diversity, which makes it kind of confusing to quantize, but at the same time, we're intelligent enough to know the difference, because everyone's been eating food that is enough nutrition for them to thrive and feel really good. And we've tackled all of the falsities out there about wellness. That doesn't mean we don't get to still have punk rock and, the expression of nihilism, because that's kind of fun. But like, we understand the context of it and how it's just fun. Tricky. I suppose in this scenario, you're gonna need to have mosh pits. But the mosh pits, if you break, and this is the reality, right? If you break your arm, or if you break someone else's arm, that's fine. Because we've engineered the human body to heal very well. You know, we've got everyone's a chiropractor because the educational system of the skeleton is so good that everybody knows what bones they have. It's pretty crazy that I don't know all my bones. But everyone in this future does, because education is phenomenal, and we've all been eating, and we've got our neuroplasticity, and when I feel my bones, I feel my poetry, and I know more. So the mosh pits are fine. You know, injury might get synthesized, you know, into something about, this is tricky, because, you know, if you're hyper aligned and you're in a mosh pit, no one really gets injured. So I think everyone just gets to thrash about, and they have the right muscle groups that they don't hurt themselves or anyone around them. They just know how to thrash well. Thrashing with poise. Thrashing with center. Yeah. Every food, every culture, every dance expression. It's kind of like in the Matrix, when Neo downloads all of the information and he sees that his only thing separating him from achieving everything and doing everything is doubt. So doubt doesn't, you know, there are tools all throughout the educational systems that help people with doubt and what to do when you have a hard conversation, and mosh pit courtesy. So that's all going to be great. It could be great. Could be good. Oh, yeah, all those falsities. You know, there's interesting falsities keeping us from feeling great. You know, I think in this future, people they understand how certain amounts of meat consumption relate to heart disease, and understand how stretching and exercise are actually joyous expressions of dance and life. And no one has to argue over fundamental truths that are kind of fundamental, but the answer is the question. So now we're back at the question. So everything could go right. It could all go right. The oceans, the level rising, we'll all join together as a force of the earth. The governments that are in place, that are made by divisions from history and you know, cultural separations, those governments will learn to work together, and we will find the answers. Thank you.